Potential 2020 presidential candidate Bernie Sanders planning to pick a new fight over the federal minimum wage. The senator from Vermont tweeting, the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour is a starvation wage, and that is why I, along with many other members of Congress, will introduce legislation this week to raise that wage to $15 an hour. If you work 40 hours a week, you should not live in poverty. But is that sustainable? Is it a good idea? Will businesses pay that? Here now at the debate, we've got founder and president of the Center for Urban Renewal and Education, Star Parker, screen left, and Democratic strategist, Dr. Susan Johnson-Cook, screen right. Ladies, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Dr. Cook, let's start with you. You think it's a great idea what Bernie Sanders is proposing to up the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour?
Very much so. You know, the United States is one of the richest nations, but we have so many working poor. People cannot live on $7.25 an hour. I have been pushing for the $15 minimum, and I think that we need to go forward. So I say, yay, Bernie. I'm with you. I stand with you, as many others do now. And I think it will go through this time.
All right, Star, I remember Seattle experimented with this, and they jacked up the the local minimum wage. And I believe a study came out that showed that people wound up with less money in their pockets because employers cut employees' hours because the wage was so high.
That's one of the impacts. Another thing happens is that employee is replaced with technology. Listen, President Trump just got this economy roaring, and it's having a major impact on those that are on that bottom rung. They are already seeing increases in their wages because there are so many jobs available. This is the last thing the federal government should do, is to try to increase minimum wage. Wage should be in the free market. This is where employees and employers negotiate what that wage is going to be, and this is where those that are creating the jobs should be in charge, not the federal government.
But Dr. Cook, ultimately, Bernie Sanders supporters from the last time around loved it when he went out on a limb and proposed stuff like this.
Yeah, they love it because she's talking about, you know, economy roaring. We have people who are crying. I have people who are sending notes around in the development where I live who work 40 hours a week asking for babysitting positions because they need cash flow. That's ridiculous. I'm a small business owner. I come from a family of small business owners. We need people to not be working poor. Whoever works 40 hours a week should be able to live on that. The economy is not roaring. People are crying. That's a difference.
Well,
the doctor's making my point that this is where that wage increase should be, is in the low, in the job provider's position. If they own all of these small businesses, is it up to them to then increase the wages of their employees, not up to the federal government to force them to increase the wage of their employees? Well, if people are crying, then what we need to be talking about is how we can stimulate much more growth. One of the things that the president's just done was opened up this opportunity initiative to go into these distressed zip codes to help make those changes, not to increase the minimum wage.
Well, let's see what they do up on Capitol Hill. Meanwhile, there's a story.
You're making my point, actually.
Yeah, indeed. Let's find out. There's apparently a news story circulating that Facebook is apparently, according to Business Insider, creating rules limiting a Facebook employee's ability to change colleagues' minds about politics and religion. And apparently the rules prohibit bullying, bans attempts to change an employee's politics or religion, and outlaws particular kinds of hate speech. Dr. Cook, let's start with you. Do you think what Facebook is trying to do is they're trying to stop progressives from talking to conservatives, or conservatives from talking to progressives, or both?
Well, I'm just disappointed in Facebook. First, all the data that is has been revealed all over. But, you know, I went all over the world as U.S. ambassador for religious freedom to allow people and to advocate for people to have freedom of thought, conscious worship. You know, Facebook is limiting that. And I think when we start limiting what people can say and think and be able to persuade, I think we're violating our very rights. And so I think that what they're doing is absolutely incorrect. You know, workplaces certainly can limit certain things that, you know, I worked for the State Department and the White House. Of course, in the workplace, there's certain things you want to have in terms of rules. But when you start limiting what a person can say and think and be able to talk to someone else and persuade them about religion,
right,
that compromises their thought and their conscience.
All right, Dr. Cook, I have a feeling that Star Parker probably actually agrees with you on this.
It is a direct
so.
attack on Christianity, because what we know is that the more often people go to church, the more conservative they are, and then the more they vote for Republicans. So that's what this is really about, republicanism, and Facebook is not on that side.
I know there are a whole lot of Christians who are not Republicans, and I am myself, and so I think she kind of gets a little blurred, but we
I'm
can go
not talking
forward.
about one individual. That's the problem with situational ethics. It's like it always comes back down to me. No, we're talking broader terms, larger numbers.
I've been a Christian all my life, and there are a whole lot of Christians who are not Republicans.
We know that too.
You can argue that point. You can argue that point.
We're not going to argue that point individually.
We're not going to argue that point.
We're going to say that in general, this is what the data is showing very clearly, that the more conservative you are is because if you go in the church on a weekly basis, and those are more likely vote Republican. But you are making an interesting point, because the only place it does break down is with blacks. Blacks will go to church more often. They say that they believe in God much more often, and then they go and undermine that belief when they vote for Democrats on Tuesdays. So you are right. That is one place where we do see those differences between ethnics.
I think she's got it twisted, and I think Facebook has got it twisted. You have to allow people to believe what they want and say what they want.
All right, Dr. Cook and Star Parker, thank you very much. Good debate on this Wednesday morning. Thank you, ladies.